Well, hello and welcome back to the Certified Jordan channel. This is episode number 2 of the Triumph Daytona 675 Rebirth project. This episode we will be focusing on bodywork and prepping for paint and fixing some of the plastics, which I must admit is in a bit of a worse state than originally hoped for. As you can see with this one panel, let me see what you can see. This crack here, the crack right along the edge here, and this crack all the way through here was not visible. This crack, on the other hand, I did show you. You can see right through that crack. Let me show you this. Let me put the torch down here and show you this. You can see right through that crack. That's actually quite a bad one. If I use my torch to light this up a bit, you can see a very bad, broken and very poorly repaired plastic welded stitched. I mean, just look at these stitches down here. Very badly done. So what we are faced with here, the section of the fairing stay where the two mirrors bolts in. I showed you this one was broken off more or less in this location. So this whole piece flopped up and down all the time, which caused paint cracking all over here. So I've sanded this all the way down to the bare plastic. White is the bare plastic, and there you can see I still need to sand there a bit. This has only been done with 150 grit. There's a very bad crack down here, and then this we need to repair. So what I usually do, I've done it in the past and I'm going to do it here again. If it can unhook from my finger, I use this aluminium mesh, diamond mesh. You can see this one is already shaped. Cut out, and this one is going to go right there. It's going to stiffen up this panel and it's going to just make it overall stronger. So if I can just turn this panel around, this is going to stiffen up this section, as you can see where it's going to lie. If I bring it out from the back, so it's going to end up more or less here. So it's going to stiffen up this entire section. It's going to stiffen up this entire section, and it's going to make sure that there won't be any breakage there. This section where the flopping has occurred is actually, it's not damaged at all. It has no breaks, no cracks, no nothing. Just the paint that had cracking. That piece has already been repaired. Look at all these cracks in the paintwork. So this will have to be taken down to bare plastic. All of these stitches here will have to come out. But what I'm going to do in this video, we're going to repair the side with that section that I've cut. We're going to repair the side. We're going to cut a piece for here, and then you can see here where I've indicated with my red marker where the side fairing fits on. So I cannot go over these lines because otherwise the side fairing won't fit properly there. So we're going to repair this section, only the top section, and that. When that is dry, I will be in a position to come with my grinder and cut all of these out and then push this back together and then I'll do the same thing with that same diamond mesh on the inside here. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll go all the way so that even this clip will go through the diamond mesh. I'll see how that's going to play out. But that's what's in store for this video. Then maybe just to quickly show you what we have going on here. This is the left-hand side plastic, where the big Daytona logo was sanded out, and also the 675 logo. We had a bit of paint cracking over here, so I had to take all the paint off. And this panel is prepped, it's already flatted. I started with a 150 grit on this. Then I went down to a 220 grit. Thereafter, I've taken it up to a 320 grit. And then eventually I ended up with a 400, and then I ended up with a 600 grit. So this panel is prepared. This is the only panel we have at the moment that's ready for primer. I'm going to quickly grab the other panel. This will then now be the right hand side fairing, where you can see some much more sanding took place. You look at the difference in color here. There was like a little dent in the plastic here. I don't know if it was because of me sanding it too much, which I don't believe, otherwise everything would have been like that. I think this is because of exhaust heat. The plastic just had a little ding in it, so I filled it up nicely. Can't even see that, and there was also just a bit of a low spot there that I filled up. The rest of this panel still needs to be flatted with 600. We've already done up to 400. Once this is done, we can also then primer this panel as well. Then let me just quickly grab these two plastics, or a plastic and a tank. I had to bring all of this stuff in. We had quite a bad rainstorm this afternoon. Side plastic, 675 logo here, it's taken out. This plastic is also flattened all the way down with 400. Still need to tackle it with a 600. And then we have some bad breakages here. So there's a piece of plastic. This holds the taillight on. There's a piece of plastic that must come here, and a long piece that must come here with two bolts that bolts this plastic down to the frame, to the subframe. These two are only for the taillight. So I'm not too sure what we're going to do there. We'll have to figure something out. But anyhow, this is actually an original Triumph part. So, and so are all the other parts as well. Okay guys, then let me take you down here quickly. There's a tank. The Triumph logos were sanded out. Tank has been flattened all the way down to 400. I'm going to now take the fuel cap out, and then I'll tackle the tank with the 600 and make sure that that is 100% ready for primer. And then also I will start sanding the fuel cap to get that ready for primer. I want to try and prime a lot of stuff in one go. I don't want to be in a situation where I need to wash paint guns, spray, wash paint guns, prime, wash paint guns, clear coat, wash again, paint, wash again, prime. I want to try and get as much of the stuff that needs H primer and MS primer and do it at the same time to minimize the amount of cleaning, because that's a lot of work, guys. Honestly, it is. Then let me put my camera off charge here. I can zoom out now. I think this looks so much better. I properly cleaned these calipers, so they are clean. The fork still needs to be properly cleaned. Now, the fuel cap and the stop yoke is going to be the same color. But if you stand back and you look at this, it looks good. You can also see the engine casing is off. I'm busy prepping that engine casing for paint, as well as the other side will also be painted. And then what I also wanted to show you, please mind my dirty paw mark there. That is a rear caliper, already nicely redone. Even the pin was cleaned and polished. The bleeder nipple was also polished and cleaned. So that's going to look a hell of a lot better on this bike. Okay guys, so without wasting time, let me get you back onto the stand and let's mix some filler. I'll show you the filler in detail. This is the filler that I use. This is a filler that I use for filling in little cracks. So, for example, this filler, I will be using that filler to fill this crack, to fill this crack, and to fill that crack. After that has been then sanded down, if there's still a little mark, I'll use spot putty to clear that all up. Okay guys, so before we start, I like to take my applicators and just sand them lightly with a 220. Just a B220. Just make sure they're 100% clean. Right. This is body fiber. This stuff is hard. This is the type of stuff that you use to fix fiberglass with. It's not fun to work with this stuff. It's extremely difficult to sand. So I would not suggest you use this on the outside of any plastic panel, because it's much harder to sand than the plastic itself. So you're going to end up sanding the wrong thing, meaning the plastic and not the filler. So I'm going to get some of this stuff mixed. Then we're going to fill this thing in there. I think I should maybe just get some clamps, because I want to really clamp this down. So let me get some clamps and then I'll be with you now. Hey guys, might just add, you've seen me wearing some of my new t-shirts and things, my certified Jordan t-shirts. I will not be wearing them when I do any form of body work. I want them to last a bit longer than these ones did. And here's a little tip for you. If you are going to clamp anything down, remember now, if you look at this piece, the whole idea behind this is to have plastic with this body filler fiber on top of it, and then this pressed in until the fiber comes through, and then I can smear it flat with my finger and that won't move, and then I'm going to clamp it on. But if I clamp this on, the clamp's going to stick to that. So just put a piece of masking tape over the one side of your clamp which is going to touch where the filler is. So I've got two different size clamps here. A big one that can go in a bit deeper. Unfortunately, the clamping force on these is actually quite high. It's not exactly ideal. Maybe I'll see if I can only use one or two clamps, but let's get this done. So for now, let's get mixing some of this stuff. Now guys, one of the primary things that you need to remember after mixing some of this stuff is that your applicators and things needs to be cleaned afterwards. And if you don't do it properly, it's a mess to get it clean. So what I use to clean is rubbing alcohol. It usually works well for me. I'm just looking for my putty knife, which I can't seem to find at the moment. Okay, you know what, it's fine. Let's do this. I'm going to bring you in a bit closer. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, and let me lift you up. And guys, I'm going to obviously be in the way of my own footage, but I'm trying my level best to get you to see what I see. Now I'm going to use this little applicator. I'm thinking this is going to be too much. All right. Let me see. I just want to see what you can see. All right. So we've got this amount of putty on there. This is my hardener. That amount of hardener. I'm just going to smear it around and work it in over each other, into each other, back over. Some people makes it extremely complicated to mix filler and things. It's not a complicated task at all. That is good enough. I've got an even color. That is good enough. Okay. This stuff actually dries quite quickly. So what I'm going to do, can you see this? Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smear this in here. to smear it around. You can see it's got like, and you see it looks like pieces of hair. That is a fiber. As I indicated to you, this is actually a fiber filler. And I'm afraid I actually do not have as much as I thought I'm going to have. And if I wait any longer, the stuff is going to become dry and then I can't use it. So I'm going to have to mix some more. Do yourself a favor, and on these edges, if you have too much, take it off now before it's dry. There you can see the way in which I've cut this section, but I do not have enough, so I'm going to have to mix more. This is the reason why I have a little piece of newspaper on my bench here. The guys that follows my channel will know that this is a new top that I've installed here. So I want to try and get it to last as long as possible. And this will create no problem at all. I know I'm using my ruler for this, but remember there's no hardener in here. If I use this to take out some more of the fiber, there's hardener on this. I'll cause the rest of the filler in there to go hard on me. Right, so let's just quickly, luckily I'm doing this at night. It is cooler now. It is exactly 26.5 degrees inside here, so it's not by any way, shape or form cold. But at least it is raining outside. I'm sure you can hear it on my microphone. So I think with a bit of moisture in the air, this might take a bit longer to set than usual. Yes, it's still soft, so let me take that out and let's add all of this in here. That's a bit of a tricky thing because, you know, these plastics, it's tricky to put them down. They hook on everything. It's just, you have to think a bit out of the box with these things. Okay, so let me smear this all around here, nice and thick. I want it thick. There's a hard piece that I don't want. I want it nice and thick down there. Oh, I've also, which I forgot to mention, you can see here, I've cleaned all of these surfaces. Look at that. I've cleaned all of these surfaces with my Dremel, just to make the adhesion a bit better. Okay, now let's take these clamps and clamp that thing on there. It's other way around. Nice thing about this aluminium mesh is the fact that it bends according to how you want it. This one I'm going to try to put in from this side. Now, can you see what it is doing right here? It's coming out. So now I can smear that nice and flat. I can smear that over all of this, and this will ensure that this piece is never going to come off of this. I think what I should actually do, I think I'm going to mix a bit more of this stuff and smear a bit more over this. Let's do that, guys. See, now I need to find a different way to put that thing down. Let me get all of this off my little ruler here. Let's add some hardener to the mix here. That's ample hardener. Guys, too much hardener is not going to cause it to dry quicker. Yes, it will, but that's not the goal. You need it to cure according to the way it was actually designed for. Because if you make it to cure quicker by adding too much hardener, you are in actual fact making the product brittle. And it's not going to stick as well as you would hope it's going to stick. So let's do this. Done this with my fingers for a long time. I've never had a problem. I don't want it to look horrible when you look inside the fairing, because remember, this section you'll be able to see from the cockpit. So unfortunately, there's no cover or anything going over this whole section. I'm putting slight pressure as I smear it in here, because I want this top coat to come into contact with whatever is at the bottom. That way, it's going to be glued on there forever. There's a bit more here. It's starting to become tacky and hard. Now is the time we need to look at this. Can you see these little hair here? Take it off before it's hard. Otherwise, you'll have a bad time. Let's see if it's looking good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's definitely starting to dry up on me. And before it completely dries up on me, that I'm going to leave as it is. I'm happy with that. Before it dries up on me, I take my rubbing alcohol, a little cloth. First thing that I clean is my fingers, and it's clean. Rubbing alcohol works. I'll take this. Let me show you. There is just a bit on the cloth. Clean. There's nothing on there left, so that thing's clean. Let's put that back on its location. You can see I've been naughty. You can see this white filler. I did not clean this thing properly, or in time when I mixed the previous time with a fine filler. And though it says fine filler, trust me, it's not soft. Okay, so that's done. Now let's get some of this alcohol on here, because I want to use this mixing pad again. However, I do have a pad which I use for mixing. but I have no idea where it is. Don't know if I borrowed it to somebody that I just, during the garage makeover, maybe just shoved it in somewhere and I can't find it. I don't know. If you don't have one, don't spend R1 million on, or $1 million, whatever your currency is, on one. Buy yourself a clipboard and get yourself a exam pad, normal paper exam pad. Mix your filler, and if you're done, tear off the page and you're done. Easy, painless, cheap. Guys, if you don't mind, I just want to take a sip of my cold drink here. And put it back in the fridge. Okay. Let's get back on this. Up next, we want to put a piece right over this. Now this is going to mean that I'm going to have to measure that piece. Remember, I've made a red pen mark there. So I'm going to make this section 11 centimeters long. And I'm going to make it 3.5 centimeters wide. But now I need to also keep into consideration the cracking on this side. So here we have no cracking. The crack is only there. Okay, so on this side we're good. On the other side we have a crack there. So that's going to be a different shape. So, all right, let's do this. 11 by 3.5 centimeters. I've got this piece here. Okay, I'm going to quickly cut this, guys. Here comes a nice part. This stuff is soft, it's aluminium. So now what I can do, can you see that? This goes in there. Now I'm going to put this section in the vise and bend it in the middle. And physically take my fingers and just bend it. I want a bit more of a bend. Now it needs to come out a bit because this section is curved. So I'm curving it, as you can see. That's too much. And I want a bit more of a bend still. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flatten this sections quickly. I'll mute you for that, don't worry. Right. So now my little curve is a bit much down there and up there. And down here, I want it bent slightly more. Trial and error, guys. Practice makes perfect. Let's give it a bit more of a bend. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. That piece in there is going to make this thing a lot stronger. All right. The problem is with that, clamping that down is going to be difficult. So I'm going to have to, you see, the problem is we can't have it on its side with weight on here, because if we put weight here, it's going to flatten this plastic. So we're going to have to work on this, on the shape here a bit more, so that we're sure by the time we put this in and it cures, it's where we want it to be. All right, guys, I'm going to take that as a win, and I'm going to go ahead with mixing some of this stuff. I'm going to run out of this stuff. Not with this repair, but with all the other repairs I still need to do. I'll have to go and get some more of this. Okay. All right. I think that's enough for now. Give it a bit more hardener because it's a bit more than the amount we've mixed previously. You see, I just take half, edge it off, put it on top, take half, edge it off, put it on top, mix it through, smear it, take half, mix it on top, take half, mix it on top, take half. Just think about it. I mean, it's really not a difficult thing to do. And people, please stop making this seem like a difficult task, or that you need some sort of engineering diploma or degree to mix filler. It's definitely not the case. Okay, right. This is quite a lot of filler, and we're going to smear it in there. Okay, let's try to do this. See guys, the best thing to do is actually to take a section, do it, leave it till it's dry, and then go ahead. But life happens, and we don't always have that luxury, unfortunately. So this is just one of those occasions. I'm going to push it down. I'm pushing it down and then pushing it forward. Then I want to push it into that. Just look at that beautiful squish I've got there, if I can call it that. And then I'm just going to smear it flat. I'm going to take some more, put it at the bottom. I'm putting some pressure on it to really get it to go into those little holes we have going on here. I will be painting this black. I'm just making sure there's no of this filler, none of it on this inside of the red paint line there. I think that is going to solve a big issue there. And let's see what I can do and what I can accomplish with this clamp. I don't want to make this crack bigger than it actually is. So what I'm going to do, guys, and please forgive me for this, but I think what I'm going to do, if I can open the damn thing, please forgive me for this. I'm going to go ahead and put a drop of super glue in here. I'm just trying to tighten this gap that we have here on this crack, because this clamp is needed, but it's causing it to lift on this side. And I have achieved what I want with a drop of super glue. And I think that one is dry enough for me to move this clamp and put it over there. Okay, guys, that is what I think we can accomplish for this section of the video. We'll see how it turns out. Alright guys, so in here we have tracking, and then on this side we have that major crack. I can almost shove my finger in here. So I've designed these little structural integral stiffeners, if you can call it that, and we're going to put them in there. This is the one that we've done earlier, and this one, and then there's another one that I've done off camera. And what I'm also going to do, this stuff is rock hard. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to smear a bit more in here. This one I think is covered well enough. Check, for instance, this little small piece here. You see that piece? I can't break it off. No, I can't break it off. It's too hard. Alright guys, so let me get that glued in there, and then I'll catch up with you. Alright guys, so what I have going on here, I added a cable tie here just to open that gaping hole a bit closer in. And then I've put that piece of aluminium in there. I've also filled up that section with more of the fiber filler. This side we have that fiber filler, and on the inside here, let me grab my torch. Light is becoming a problem. On the inside there, I've added the aluminium diamond mesh, and now we need to wait for this to dry. Guys, I just want to also say that I am not teaching you anything on this channel. I am not a qualified body repairer, panel beater. Not at all. It's not my trade at all. I am purely on this channel showing you how I do things. I do have some qualifications in motor mechanics. I've built many engines in my life, especially motorbike and motorcycle engines. Also car engines, from diesels to petrols, large to small, lawnmowers, generators, the whole trip. But I'm actually a person that sits in boardrooms and writes reports for a living, albeit with dirty nails and dirty hands, usually. I'm the type of guy that likes to teach myself new skills, and you know, I'm getting older, but still I like being in the garage. And I broke my back a couple of years ago, and I never ever thought that I will ever be able to spend a single second in my garage again. And I'm making most of my God-given second chance in life, and I'm just trying to live life to the fullest and teach myself these skills. I've been doing body work now for around, I'd say, 8 months. The first motorcycle I've painted was my son's KTM Duke 390. And then the second one was the Duke 390 Rebirth project on my channel. The third motorcycle was my Vogue 300DS, and then the CBR 600, and then the CBR 1000, and now this Triumph Daytona. So I'm also learning as we go along. Just please, guys, keep in mind, I'm not teaching you anything. I'm showing you the way that I do things. And I will be honest with you, if I've done something that doesn't work, I'll tell you, this, don't do it this way. Like the super glue I've put on that one edge. Don't do it that way. It's not the right way to do it. However, it helps you out in a pickle. So, guys, yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way, just for the haters out there as well. You know, I'm not saying that I'm a qualified body shop repairer, whatever. Just somebody somewhere in the garage that likes to do things on his own. I've got a good friend very close to me. The guy's from TS Service Center. He's the guy that helped me with the clutch on the Renault Quid. He's a qualified panel beater, so he also helps me a lot. I learned quite a lot of things from him. And the things that I do on the channel does work, except if I say it doesn't. And that's why I'm taking you through and bringing you along for the ride with me, so that we can progress together and see where we end up. But let's wait for this to dry, and then we'll go ahead with the other plastics.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video with me. If this is the type of content that you like to watch, please consider subscribing and also like the video. Until we see each other in the third installment of the series. Cheers.